guys, it's video number 5 on Ayurveda, and we're learning how to balance your doshas today with food. We talked about the 6 tastes of Ayurveda in the last video, so if you didn't do those tests, I highly recommend you do that foodie test. And I'm going to use my notes because otherwise I'm probably going to stare at the sky a lot and have to think too much, so it's going to go a lot faster this way. But this is how we balance the doshas. We're going to talk about Vata first. So remember, Vata is a combination of air and space, which means that you have a lot of internal dryness, lightness, and windiness. You have very weak digestion typically. So we need to counterbalance all that by heating up digestion. We need to add fire. We need to add some wetness to counterbalance that dryness. We need to add warmth, and we need to add moisture to the body. So Vata general dietary tips. You are going to favor foods that have a sweet, a sour, and a salty taste. So you can think of the 3 S's. Sweet, sour, and salty is what you want to have a lot of if you are Vata dosha. Now, keep in mind, for Ayurveda, there's 6 flavors, and you actually want to have all 6 of these flavors in your meals because remember, you are all 3 doshas. You are just a little bit more of one or two than the other. So if your highest one is Vata, this is the diet you're going to follow. You're going to eat a diet that primarily has a higher sense of sweet, sour, and salty foods. That means you're going to be favoring heavy foods, you're favoring foods that are moist, and you're favoring foods that have a warming essence. So keep that in mind. Heavy, moist, and warming foods are going to help balance your body and your mental state as well. Eat fewer bitter, pungent, astringent foods. These are the dry foods. These are the cooling foods. These are the foods that are going to exasperate your Vata condition. So enjoy 3 or 4 smaller meals at regular times each day. Because if you remember, if you're Vata, and you may have forgotten, Vatas are not good with routine, so you might forget to eat all day long. So it's really important as a Vata dosha that you create a stable routine for yourself. So eat 3 or 4 smaller meals throughout the day. Avoid eating when you're nervous or anxious. That's really important because Vata tends to get nervous or anxious really easily. So that is a key time, if you're noticing that, to ground yourself, meditate, and make sure you have a grounding meal. Eat a balanced breakfast every morning. Vata, because they are ungrounded and they get up and they get flighty and they forget to have breakfast. So it's really important that you have a very grounding, nutrient-dense breakfast. So for Vata, that might be something like oats with cinnamon and spices that helps ground you, that adds moisture, and also adds a warming spice to enkindle the digestive fire, the agni. Sit down to eat and always avoid eating on the run because I know you Vatas are always running around. Take note of signs of any poor digestions like gas or bloating or constipation because you'll notice then you'll be able to look back on your food journal and what you ate and how you ate it. Because if you're like, oh, well, I ate oats, but I had it like granola where it was really dry, then maybe that's not adding enough moisture to my body. And maybe if I just had heated oats instead of the cinnamon spiced granola, I would have been better. Eliminate white sugar and caffeine because Vatas already are all over the place, so the last thing you need is more sugar and more caffeine that makes you more flighty. Use warming spices to improve digestion like cinnamon, cardamom, clove. Chai is an amazing spice. Anything that has that warm essence, Indian spices are going to be so incredible for you. Ginger will be good for you as well. Avoid cold and carbonated beverages because you already have coolness in your body, and carbonation is going to exasperate the dryness and the airiness that causes gas and bloating. Vatas get bloated all the time, you guys. If you're like, I am so bloated all the time, you most likely have a lot of Vata going on and some weak digestion, and you're going to have to cook your food. So even though some of you are like, raw food rocks because it's got like tons of enzymes and it's super good for you and all the vitamins are there, and I totally agree with that, you know, you can only really get the nutrients out of the food that you can digest. So if you're Vata dosha and you're really not digesting that food that well, then how are you really receiving the nutrients from it? So I would highly recommend that if you're Vata dosha, you cook your food good. This was huge for me. I have a lot of Vata. I have very Vata digestion, and I used to live on a raw foods diet, and I can tell you I was horribly gassy and horribly bloated all the time, and I didn't understand it. I'm like, I eat better than anyone in the freaking world, and I don't understand why I'm like this bloated animal all the time. Well, it's because I didn't cook my food. And then as soon as I started cooking my food and cooking it good, my body was able to assimilate the nutrients. I wasn't gassy, I wasn't bloated, I felt good, and my energy was higher, even given the fact that the enzymatic quality of the food may have been slightly diminished because it was cooked. So go figure, there's something very awesome about Ayurveda. It's an incredible science. Okay, so let's talk about Pitta dosha. Pittas want to favor foods that are sweet, bitter, and astringent tastes. So remember, that was like the date, that was like a ripe banana, sweet. Bitter would be like kale and dandelion. And astringent was like that wicking, horrible, unripe banana that I made you eat. So the flavor profiles really, you're going to favor cool, dry, and slightly heavy foods. So that's really what you want to remember. Cool, dry, and slightly heavy foods are really going to help balance you pitta doshas. Eat less, eat fewer salty, sour, and pungent foods. So yes, you should have them because you have all 3 doshas in your body, but have less sour, salty, and pungent foods. Eat at regular times each day. Eat a balanced breakfast and an early lunch. Your digestive fire is at the highest when sun is at the brightest, and you know the hottest time of the day is between 10 and 2, so you want to have an early lunch and get that metabolism rolling. Avoid refined sugars. Everybody should limit alcohol and caffeine. This is huge for pitta doshas because pittas do everything in excess, especially when you're out of balance. So a pitta dosha, while in balance, might be able to enjoy an occasional glass of wine. You will find that that wine is going to make you really, really hot. It's going to make you sweaty. It's going to make you like angry and aggro, like fiery. It builds the heat. But you'll also find that when you're out of balance, you don't just want one glass of wine. You want like the whole bottle of wine. You want the kit and caboodle. You want like, give me the carafe of wine, waiter. You want it all. And it's the same with coffee because it has so much acid and heat in it. You won't get a single shot, Americano. You're going to be like, hey, give me the quadruple latte with an extra shot on top of that quadruple. And then you're going to go back to the coffee shop later and you're going to get some more coffee because that's, your pitta needs it. So pittas, you really just got to knock off the alcohol and the caffeine. So get off it for a little while, at least at the very minimum. Spring is the best time to do a cleanse and reset your habits. Avoid conducting business while you're eating. This is especially important for pitta because you guys are go-getters and you are always conducting business. I know because I'm a pitta dosha too and I am business all the time. It is business right now and I'm sweating talking to you guys. So make sure that you do take the time to actually sit down and taste all 6 flavors that are in your food. And that way you'll know not only that you are putting mostly those 3 flavors that you really need in your body, but you're feeling the digestion, you're feeling the food. Maybe you look out the window or over the ocean or have a nice conversation, but think about your food, be grateful for your food. It didn't just show up on your plate. There was a farmer out there that worked really hard for it. They might have had a bad season and didn't, get everything they wanted, and you're just there eating it and working on your iPhone and you've forgotten all about your food, and then you eat it and you're hungry again and you forgot you even ate because you're pitta. So we're going to work on that. We're going to balance that pitta by eating cooler foods, drier foods, slightly heavy foods. Check out from the computer when you're eating. Avoid your caffeine, avoid your alcohol, and we're going to watch the pitta go way down. It's going to go to a nice space. Okay, and don't just eat poorly just because you can, pitta dosha, because I know you guys have a high metabolism and a high digestive fire, but that doesn't mean like, hey, I'm going to have a pizza and hot dog and some beers tonight because I'll feel fine in the morning. No, you're going to feel fine in the morning because you're going to process it, but your internal structure is still going to suffer from it. Your mind is going to suffer from it. So just don't do it. Even though your digestion can handle for it, you really can't. And your pitta is going to go, it's going to go off. All right, so the last one we're going to talk about is how to balance your kapha dosha. So kaphas should favor foods that are bitter, pungent, and astringent tastes. So this means you need light foods, you need dry foods, and you need warming foods. Because remember, pitta's like mud. You guys, or excuse me, kapha is like mud. You guys are like heavy, cool, damp, you're grounded, inertia. You need things that are going to lighten you up, brighten you up. Not a lot of weight in your food. You might be craving comfort food, but what you really need is something that counterbalances that need for like sedentary and heaviness, and you need something that brings you up. So you want to eat less, eat fewer sweet, sour, and salty foods. You're eating less in quantity and less in frequency. Eat at regular times each day. Eat a light breakfast or skip it entirely. So I talk a lot about timed nutrition in this group. So kapha dosha is really great. You guys that are kapha, do time nutrition. See if it works for you because you can totally skip your breakfast and have a longer period of no food and you will thrive this way. Eat a very light evening meal. Avoid frequent snacking and late night eating. Don't do the late night eating. It's going to wreck your sleep. It's going to wreck everything. Don't do it. Eliminate white sugar and greasy foods. Use warming spices to improve your digestion and favor warm beverages over cold beverages. So those are some key points. Now remember, some of you we're like, well, I'm two doshas. I'm vata and I'm pitta, or I'm kapha and I'm pitta. I don't really know what to work with. Well, the next video, we're going to talk about how the doshas don't only relate to things going on in your body, because remember, they're all comprised of the 5 earth elements, so they're in nature too. So you'll find that seasons represent doshas and times of your life represent dosha. So using the information I give you on the next video, you will learn a little bit more about what season you're in, what you really need to work on balancing, and I'm pretty sure you're going to find out a way that you can take some of the information I'm giving you and apply it into what you're doing right now to find a little bit better balance in your body. So stay tuned for that video. Have a great day, and I'll see you guys soon.